Welcome back to a special edition of Radio Row coverage here on ESPN Wichita, 92.3 FM. Getting Nick Ferguson here on the program as he joins us now from Super Bowl Radio Row. Nick, do you read me loud and clear?
I got you.
Awesome, Nick. Thank you for hopping on. And how has Radio Row been treating you so far?
Radio Row is great. The one thing I love about coming to Radio Row every single year, you see so many people that you've come across over your career, whether it's in broadcasting or football, and it's kind of like no matter where guys are and no matter who station they represent, it's just family. It's a lot of love.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like, you know, you were a part of the NFL for 10 years. I'm sure you've got a lot of frat brothers there in the NFL. Talk a little about your NFL career. I mean, you played with the Broncos for some time. That was probably where the best part of your career was played at. What was it like playing in the NFL? And, how has it helped your broadcasting career playing in the NFL for so long?
Well, it's great when you play this great game we call, football. It allows us to kind of connect with so many different people. And you build a lot of these relationships, and knowing the game the way that I know the game, because for me, I've played the game for 10 years. I've coached it, and I've done some scouting on it, so I have a different perspective. And I don't know about you, when I watch the game, my family, they don't watch the game with me.
Yeah.
Because they're like, dude, why do you keep pausing and stopping the TV? Because I can't help it, because if I see something that I need to teach, I got to pause and I got to tell people so my family doesn't watch it. But it's been great, and it's given back to me in so many ways.
I do. I am one of the people where I enjoy watching the game by myself, where I'm on remote control. I'm also someone who, I don't like pausing or anything. I like to just watch it live, and then I'll go back and watch it afterwards. But for you, what does it mean to be back here at Super Bowl Radio Row? How many times have you been here? And just kind of talk a little about your journey here to Radio Row.
Well, for me, I've come back to the Super Bowl every year after I retired. And once again, it's one of those places where you meet so many different people.
Yeah.
You can network. You meet, people that you grew up watching. Like for me, meeting Darryl Green, meeting Emmitt Smith, right? Darren Woodson. I mean, Andre Reed, all of these people I grew up watching. And I know when I meet them, I say, man, I grew up watching it. And it makes them feel really old when I say that. But for me, it's coming from a place of respect, because I respect what each one of those guys did, and the shoulders and the foundation that I stand on.
And you were a Bronco for some time. What's it like playing at Arrowhead Stadium as an opposition, playing there as one of the enemies on the field?
It is one of the toughest places to play, because the stadium is almost like it's inside of a hole.
Yeah.
And the noise is kind of trapped in, and it's really loud. And for me, the worst times to play in Kansas City is when it's cold.
Yes.
Because outside the numbers are frozen.
Yeah.
Inside is a little more softer, but it is a tough place to play. And in my years with the Denver Broncos, let me see, I don't think we've ever won in Kansas City. That's how difficult it is, and you never think of a stadium having that type of mystique where, it's very difficult for you to win. But I'm sure based on the success that Kansas City has had, so far, a lot of teams kind of have that mentality and knowing as though, well, no matter what you do, Kansas City always finds a way to win.
Yeah. And you work in the media now, so would you say that you have kind of that Chiefs fatigue a little bit, having to talk about the Chiefs all the time?
No, I'm not one of those individuals, because, I grew up a Yankee fan.
Okay.
Right? So there's a lot of people who hate the Yankees because of that same thing, but that means that if people are hating on you, you must be doing something right.
Yeah.
And I give Kansas City all the props that they deserve. Coach Spags, Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Andy Reid. And for me, the guy who doesn't really get talked about that much is Brett Veach.
Yes.
I don't know how he's able to, in this whole salary cap era, continue to keep a competitive team together. I think almost like 4 or 5 years ago, and this is over exaggeration, but Kansas City seemed like they only had like $75 in salary cap.
Yeah.
But somehow he was able to do a 10-year deal with Patrick Mahomes and then do another deal with Chris Jones. And I'm like, well, how is he doing this?
Yeah.
He's become a wizard at the salary cap, but he needs to have a lot of praise, even though everyone talks about Mahomes and Andy Reid so much.
And these two teams, they met 2 years ago in the Super Bowl down in Phoenix, but they've taken a little bit of a different journey to meeting back here again. On the Philly side, last year was kind of, they made the playoffs, but it was in all ways for Philly, it was a disaster. I mean, it was horrible for them. They had a little bit different path back than the Chiefs, who just ran rampant upon the NFL. What have you seen from these two teams that put them back in this position once again?
Well, here's the beauty about Kansas City. They have found different ways to win. Mm-hmm. Before, they were explosive offense where you had Tyreek Hill involved in offense. Then when he left, it was like, okay, well, it's almost like Cher in a sense, right? The Cher theory. Finding ways to reinvent yourself. That's something that they've done well. But the biggest thing is they've always played great defense. And when you play defense and you run the ball, you always have an opportunity. And I know statistically Patrick Mahomes' numbers are not like Patrick Mahomes' numbers of old. But it goes to show that you don't need to win like that and having your quarterback throw for gaudy numbers. If that were the case, Tony Romo and the Cowboys would have had the Super Bowl, right? But this is the ultimate team sport, and Kansas City's done that well. Now, on the Eagles front, 38-35 was the last time they played, and they had that one turnover that kind of somewhat sealed the game for Kansas City. But now they have a running game, like a true running game that you have to actually make sure that you slow down. And that's going to be a challenge on Sunday for Spags and the defense. But these are two teams that, for me, if you think about it, they've been on a collision course ever since 2020. And to have these two teams back, these two quarterbacks, Jalen Hurts and Patrick Mahomes, I think we're in for a treat on Sunday.
Yeah, it should be a great game, and I'm very much looking forward to it. Do you have a pick in the game or a side that you're maybe rooting for or against?
Well, it's not rooting for, but I think for me, Philadelphia. I think this is kind of the year, and it's not because of Chiefs fatigue. It's just everything that they've been through. They've done some things of showing up their defense with Vic Fangio, and it's going to be a hell of a game because you got 66-year-old Andy Reid against 66-year-old defensive coordinator Vic Fangio, and then you got Spags against Kellen Moore, a young and up-and-coming coach. So it's going to be really interesting.
Talk a little about your purpose for being here, the drug control in America. Talk a little bit about your purpose for being here.
Well, yeah, I'm here on behalf of Drug Free World. Go to www.drugfreeworld.org. And the reason being is because we even though we're here to celebrate the NFL and the game, but I mean, you walk around and you look around this place, there's not a single person who hasn't been affected or impacted by drugs directly or indirectly. So for me, it's to kind of give this information out to people to let them know what the troubles and tribulations of drugs are and how they can help themselves. And here's the great thing about this particular program. It is absolutely free.
Yeah.
So the individuals from the Drug Free World, they will come out to your school, your business, or whatever, and you just tell them how many people you're working with. They'll come out. They will facilitate everything, hand out all the pamphlets, and even educate you so you can therefore go out and carry forth that message. So that's the great thing I love about the program.
Well, Nick, thank you so much for dropping by, and enjoy your time down here in New Orleans.